Have you ever been in that moment where everything feels right, you're kissing, the chemistry is electric, the tension is rising, and then suddenly things shift? You reach that point where you expect passion to keep building, but instead his body isn't responding the way either of you thought it would. And now you're left wondering, wait, what just happened? If you've been there, you know how quickly your mind can start racing. Is it me? Did I do something wrong? Is he not attracted to me? And I get it, because society has made us believe that intimacy always has to follow one perfect script. But here's the truth no one tells you. A man's body is not a robot. He's not always going to be ready on command. Stress, nerves, alcohol, tiredness. There are so many factors that can affect him, and it has no headshine to do with how attractive you are. But here's where it gets interesting, because what happens in that moment can either bring you closer together or drive a wedge between you. It's not about whether his body is cooperating. It's about how you handle that soft moment. Your reaction says everything about your confidence, your understanding, and the kind of partner you are. And ladies, let me tell you this, when you can show a man grace in his most vulnerable moments, you create a level of trust and intimacy that is unforgettable. He'll remember not just how you touched him, but how you made him feel safe when he was most insecure. That's powerful. So today I'm going to share with you 5 powerful ways to handle a soft penis without awkwardness, without pressure, and in a way that actually deepens attraction and connection. Let's start with the most important thing you need to hear. When a man goes soft, it is almost never about you. I know in that moment it feels impossible not to take it personally. You're lying there, you've built up all this excitement, and then his body doesn't respond the way you expected. Instantly, your mind jumps to the harshest conclusion. I'm not attractive enough. I did something wrong. He doesn't want me. And that's such a dangerous spiral, because not only does it hurt your own self-esteem, but it can actually damage the connection between the two of you. The reality is that men's bodies are far more sensitive than we often realize. A guy can be completely into you, find you unbelievably sexy, and still not perform in that exact moment. Why? Because his body is influenced by so many things. Stress from work, lack of sleep, a heavy meal, too much alcohol, anxiety about impressing you, even something as small as being dehydrated. None of that has anything to do with whether you're desirable. And yet, if you take it personally, you create a story in your mind that isn't true. And worse, you let that story show up in your energy. Think about it. If your first reaction is to look disappointed, to pull away, or to make a comment like, "Is something wrong with me?" You've just shifted the spotlight from a neutral physical issue to a deeply emotional one. Now, he's not only dealing with his body not cooperating, he's also dealing with feeling like he's failed you. And when a man feels he's failed, the pressure builds, and the harder he tries to fix it, the less likely his body is to respond. It's a vicious cycle. But when you don't take it personally, you break that cycle. You show him without words that his worth to you is not tied to one physical reaction. You're telling him, "I'm here for the experience, not for perfection. I'm enjoying you, not judging you." That's liberating for a man. It takes away the performance pressure and replaces it with comfort and safety. And ironically, it's often in that exact environment, when the pressure is gone, that his body relaxes and things start working again. I'll give you an example. Imagine you're both in bed and he goes soft. Instead of reacting with panic or pulling away, you lean in, kiss his neck, maybe laugh softly and say something playful like, "We're not in a rush." Instantly, you've shifted the atmosphere. Now, instead of feeling like a failure, he feels like he's with a woman who gets it, who's confident enough not to let one moment ruin the mood. And trust me, that is far sexier to him than anything else you could do. Not taking it personally is also about protecting your own confidence, because let's be real, if you start equating his softness with your desirability, you'll start second guessing yourself every time. That insecurity will bleed into how you flirt, how you touch, how you show up in intimacy, and that's not fair to you. You deserve to feel confident, sexy, and enough, regardless of what his body does in one fleeting moment. So the next time it happens, remind yourself, this is not about me. Repeat it if you have to, because by separating his physical state from your self-worth, you protect not only your confidence, but also the bond you share with him. And when a man feels that you see beyond the surface, that you're not shaken by a moment of vulnerability, he feels safe. And when he feels safe, he trusts you more deeply. That's the kind of trust that builds real intimacy. And it all starts with one choice, not to take it personally. One of the biggest mistakes people make when a man goes soft is that they allow the room to suddenly fill with tension. The vibe changes instantly. It goes from fun and exciting to awkward and heavy. And in that silence, both people start overthinking. He's thinking, oh no, I've ruined it. She's disappointed. I've lost the moment. You're thinking, did I do something wrong? Am I not sexy enough? And before you know it, you've both mentally checked out of what could have been a beautiful, fun connection. This is why playfulness is your secret weapon. The moment you inject lightness into that situation, you take the pressure off him and remind both of you that intimacy isn't a test, it's an adventure. Think about how kids play a game. When something doesn't go perfectly, they laugh, they try again, they keep it fun. Intimacy works the same way. If you treat his softness like a game breaker, you lose the flow. But if you treat it with humor, with a wink, with a sense of, hey, no big deal, let's keep enjoying this, suddenly the tension melts away. Imagine this, you're kissing, things are heating up, and then his body doesn't cooperate. Instead of freezing, you smile, maybe give him a cheeky grin, whisper something playful like, Wes, we'll just have to find another way to keep ourselves busy, and then dive into kissing him again. You've just reframed the entire moment. You've told him, without saying it directly, that you're not here to judge him, you're here to enjoy him. That's a powerful message. Playfulness is magnetic because it shifts the energy away from performance and into connection. You're reminding him that this isn't about being perfect. It's about having fun together, and men love fun. When a guy sees that you can handle a delicate moment with laughter and ease, he feels safe. Safe to try again, safe to relax, and safe to let go of all the mental noise that's usually causing the issue in the first place. And here's something you might not realize. Playfulness is sexy. It's not just about making him feel better. It actually makes you more attractive in his eyes. Why? Because confidence is irresistible. When you can laugh in a vulnerable moment instead of shutting down, you're showing that you're comfortable in your own skin. That confidence is far sexier than any lingerie or technique you could bring to the table. Think about your past relationships or even flirty encounters. The moments you remember most aren't the ones that were perfect. They're the ones where something silly happened and you both laughed until your stomachs hurt. Those moments bond people. And the same thing applies here. If you turn a soft moment into a playful one, he's going to remember how you made him feel light, accepted, and even more drawn to you. Now, let's be real. Sometimes playfulness doesn't come naturally when you're feeling nervous or insecure. But here's the trick. Focus on the bigger picture. Ask yourself, do I want this moment to feel heavy or do I want it to feel fun? Once you decide that fun is the goal, everything changes. You'll find little ways to tease him, to giggle, to redirect the energy toward kissing, touching, or even joking around. And that attitude is contagious. He'll relax, and before you know it, the chemistry is flowing again. So the next time things don't go according to plan, resist the urge to go silent or serious. Smile, flirt, joke, kiss him harder. Show him you're enjoying the ride, even if it takes a detour, because intimacy is not about the destination. It's about the journey. And if the journey feels playful, trust me, he'll want to take it with you again and again. Here's something most people forget. Intimacy is not just about what happens below the waist. True intimacy is about how you make each other feel, the closeness you create, and the energy you share in that moment. And when a man goes soft, it's actually an opportunity to remind both of you that your connection runs deeper than just physical performance. Think about it. When his body isn't cooperating, you've got two choices. You can make the entire moment about what's not working, or you can shift the focus toward everything else that is working. Because let's be honest, intimacy is a full body, full heart experience. It's the way you touch his face, the way you whisper in his ear, the way you breathe together, the laughter you share in between kisses. None of that requires a perfect performance, but all of it builds a memory that makes him feel closer to you than ever before. When you explore intimacy beyond performance, you're saying, I don't need things to look like a movie scene for this to matter. I'm here with you, your energy, your presence, your body, your soul. That's powerful because most men have been conditioned to believe that their worth in intimacy comes down to how long they can last or how hard they are. When you show him you're excited by him, his smell, his laugh, his skin, his voice, you free him from that performance trap. And ironically, it's that freedom that often allows his body to respond again naturally. So what does this actually look like in practice? It's choosing to keep kissing him slowly with passion. It's running your hands across his chest, tracing his back, holding him closer instead of pulling away. It's looking him in the eyes and telling him how much you love this moment, how much you're enjoying him. It's cuddling, touching, teasing, reminding him that intimacy is about more than one physical reaction. Sometimes it's about completely shifting gears. Maybe you put on music and dance together. Maybe you lie there and talk in a way that's vulnerable, sharing secrets, dreams, or silly stories that might not sound sexy in the conventional sense. But let me tell you, those are the moments a man remembers, because it's not just his body that wants to feel good, it's his heart. And when you make intimacy about connection, not performance, you reach his heart. And here's something else: when you explore intimacy beyond performance, you're also building anticipation. You're creating a slow burn. If his body isn't cooperating right now, that's okay. You're laying the foundation for when it does. And when it does, the experience will be even more powerful, because you didn't let the spark die in the meantime. You kept the connection alive, you kept the attraction flowing, and now it's stronger than ever. I'll put it this way: sometimes the sexiest thing you can do is to not make intimacy all about sex. Because when you show a man that you desire him in every form, not just when he's at his physical peak, you give him the freedom to be human. And that freedom makes you unforgettable. So the next time things don't go as planned, lean in, explore, kiss, cuddle, laugh, whisper. Make it about the two of you instead of one body part. Because at the end of the day, intimacy isn't defined by performance. It's defined by connection. And when you give him that, you'll have him hooked for life. If there's one thing you need to understand about men, it's this: their confidence in intimacy is fragile. On the outside, he might look cool, confident, and in control. But when it comes to intimacy, so much of his self-worth is tied to whether or not he can perform. It's like this hidden pressure he carries, almost like an unspoken expectation to always be ready, always be strong, always be hard. And when that doesn't happen, even for a moment, it can shake him to his core. That's why your reaction in that moment is everything. If you sigh, roll your eyes, or pull away, he feels it immediately. And in his mind, it translates into rejection. It tells him, I failed. I disappointed her. She sees me as less of a man. That might not be what you meant, but trust me, that's the story his mind starts running with. And once a man feels like he's failed you in the bedroom, it can take a long time for him to bounce back. On the other hand, if you lean in and boost his confidence, the entire story changes. Instead of him walking away thinking, I'm broken, he walks away thinking, wow, she still finds me sexy. She still wants me. She sees me as enough. That is powerful. That's the kind of reassurance that makes him fall harder for you, because you didn't abandon him when he felt most vulnerable. So how do you actually do that? It's simple but so effective. You use words and actions to remind him that he's still desirable. Whisper in his ear how much you love his body. Tell him he turns you on just by touching you. Run your hands over him in a way that makes him feel wanted, not inspected. Smile, laugh, tease. Let him see that you're still having fun. Those little signals of encouragement go a long way. Here's the thing: men often live in fear of judgment during intimacy. They're terrified of hearing the wrong comment at the wrong time. Something like, what's wrong with you? Or seriously, can cut deeper than you realize. It's not just about that one night. It's about the story he now carries with him into every future moment of intimacy. You don't want to be the voice in his head that makes him feel small. You want to be the voice that builds him up, that tells him he's more than enough, that he's the sexiest man in the room, even when things don't go perfectly. And don't underestimate the power of body language. Sometimes it's not even what you say, it's how you stay present. Do you pull away and shut down, or do you lean in, kiss his chest, hold his hand, and keep the connection alive? Your touch can say louder than words, you're still desirable. I'm still here with you. When you boost his confidence instead of breaking it, you're not just helping him in the moment, you're shaping the way he sees you as a partner. He'll remember you as the woman who had his back, the woman who didn't make him feel ashamed, the woman who lifted him up when he was at his lowest. And that kind of support is rare. It makes you unforgettable. So the next time his body isn't cooperating, don't criticize, don't question, and don't make it heavy. Smile, encourage, remind him of his power. Because when you become the person who protects his confidence, instead of tearing it down, you create a bond that's not just sexual, it's emotional. And that bond is what keeps a man coming back, not just for your body, but for your presence. One of the most important things to keep in mind is that a soft moment is just that, a moment. It is not the whole night. It is not the whole relationship. And it certainly isn't the full measure of a man's desire for you. But in the heat of the moment, it's so easy to blow it up in our heads. We take something temporary and make it permanent. We let one little bump in the road define the entire journey. Here's the truth: everyone has off nights. Everyone has times when their body doesn't sync up with their mind. Men aren't robots. They don't just switch on like a light. Stress, nerves, exhaustion, distraction, it all plays a role. And if you can remember that, you free yourself from the trap of overthinking. Because here's what usually happens. He goes soft. And then you start telling yourself a story. He's not into me anymore. Maybe the attraction is gone. Maybe I don't excite him the way I used to. Meanwhile, he's telling himself a completely different story. I've let her down. She thinks I'm weak. She's disappointed in me. Neither story is actually true. But both of you are now stuck in your heads instead of in the moment. And that's where intimacy dies. What if instead you chose to see it for what it really is? Just a small passing thing. What if you laughed, kissed him, and moved on to enjoying each other in other ways? What if you said, with your body language and your energy, this doesn't change how much I want you, how much I love being here with you. Suddenly, the moment loses its power to ruin the night. It becomes just a little blip, and you carry on creating connection. And here's the beautiful part. When you treat it as just a moment, it often doesn't stay that way, because the less pressure there is, the more his body relaxes, and the more likely things are to pick back up again naturally. But even if they don't, you've created an experience where intimacy wasn't defined by one act. It was defined by laughter, closeness, touch, and being present. That is way more memorable than some textbook perfect performance. Think about your best nights with someone you love. They're rarely perfect from start to finish. Something funny happens, something unexpected, maybe something goes wrong. But it's the way you handle those moments that makes the night unforgettable. The imperfections actually become part of the story you look back on and smile about. The same is true here. If you can treat a soft moment with lightness and maturity, he'll remember you as the woman who didn't make him feel small, the woman who could roll with the moment and still make it magical. The danger comes when you make that moment mean more than it should. If you let one soft night become a symbol of rejection, or if you carry it into future encounters, it plants seeds of insecurity on both sides. That's how people drift apart, not because of one soft moment, but because of the meaning they attach to it. So the next time it happens, I want you to remember this. It's not the whole story. It's not a reflection of his attraction, your beauty, or the health of your relationship. It's just a human moment. And what defines you both is not the moment itself, but how you choose to handle it together. If you can carry that perspective, you'll never let one slip up shake your confidence or your connection. Instead, you'll turn a moment that could have been awkward into proof of how strong, playful, and unshakable your bond really is. So, ladies, here's the big takeaway. Intimacy isn't about perfection. It's about presence. A soft penis doesn't mean he doesn't desire you. It doesn't mean the connection is gone. And it certainly doesn't mean the night is ruined. What matters is how you handle that moment. If you don't take it personally, if you can bring playfulness into the room, if you explore intimacy beyond just performance, if you build his confidence instead of tearing it down, and if you remind yourself that this is just a moment, not the whole story, you create something so much bigger than physical pleasure. You create emotional safety. And that, more than anything, is what makes a man crave you, trust you, and want to be with you long term. Because here's the truth: anyone can be sexy when everything is working perfectly. But the woman who stands out, the woman he never forgets, is the one who makes him feel accepted and desired, even in his most vulnerable moments. That's the woman who leaves a mark on his heart. So the next time things don't go as planned, remember, it's not about what's happening in his body. It's about what you create between you. And if you can bring confidence, grace, and playfulness into that space, you're already unforgettable. Now, if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more relationship advice every week, and share this with a friend who might need to hear it. And in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. What's one way you would handle an intimate moment that didn't go as planned? Let's start a conversation, because trust me, you are not alone in this.